Despicable Me 4, directed by Chris Renaud, came out this past week. The budget was $100 million, and it's already grossed $230 million in the first 5 days. Now, I kind of like the plot on this one. We get introduced to, of course, Gru Jr. First of all, before I get into anything else, the time, I know it's been at least a year, maybe 2, because, I mean, that's baby probably about 2 years old, so, like,
you think so?
The age, maybe, or at least a year and a couple months. The age gap, like what are we doing with Margot, Agnes? Like what?
Don't look like they age at all.
Like these girls ain't aged. They haven't aged. I mean, maybe okay, maybe Margot, maybe she's probably okay. Her age probably about 15. That might have changed.
Well, it looks like she went to junior high.
Yeah, so she went to junior high, so that changed.
I assume she was like 13, maybe 14.
Yeah, but I'm like looking at these children, bro. They been the same age, and Despicable Me been out what? Some years now.
Because I think because this is the problem that they fall into when you bring a baby into a movie, you gotta somebody gotta show some age.
The passes of time.
Yeah. Somebody gotta show some age. Like what are we doing?
So, question: did you watch 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I will say this: I watched 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really remember 2 that well, and I did not watch 3. So
okay,
4.
So quickly,
2 is just basically
quickly.
Yeah, I know it. 2 is really the same.
Yeah, 2. We introduced to Lucy. He goes against El Macho. He was like this renowned villain that supposedly died. This is where Gru is starting to join the AVL, become good. Then he goes up against El Macho, defeats him, meets Lucy, and they get married at the end. Then, going to Despicable Me 3, he's going against Balthazar Bratz. He was a kid actor. Then he turned into an actual villain, stealing this stuff. You get more of Gru becoming a hero. So now we're at Despicable Me 4, where it starts off with Gru going back to the villainy school that he was from. The villain in the movie was Maximum Lamal, and he was like kind of Gru's competitor. They're coming back to the reunion, and he is presented with a reward for like the best villain or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's where Gru comes in. He busts him, and then we find out that he's like infused himself with like a cockroach because. Like that was like his whole idea was that cockroaches are like the strongest creature. So he just
CJ, you didn't like that?
So he just combined himself.
I just thought it was pretty silly.
But yeah, it was definitely silly. I wasn't expecting it.
But,
he combined himself.
The mannerisms were killing me, like just how they were moving.
Yeah,
it was humorous.
And then after Gru comes back home, he's feeling good. He's like, "Oh, I done call him." Then the AVL they come. And they let him know, Gru, you might want to.
What the hell is the AVL doing?
They were like, Gru, you might want to dip. We're gonna have to relocate you because hey, bro broke out first day. I'm like, huh?
That's what I would have been.
He broke out already. Anyway,
I'd have been like, damn, what am I working for? Niggas can't do their job at the maximum security prison.
Yeah, he broke out. So I do kind of like the plot because then they move. They moved to was it Mayfield? I mean, yeah, Mayfield. And we kind of get something different, and it just kind of shows more growth for Gru. So now they're moving to a completely different place. They all got to fit in, and instead of being heroes, they're just regular people. So now Gru has to figure out.
So original.
I mean, it's a different look for Gru because at first he was a villain. Then he became a hero. And now he's trying to fit in as a normal person and then also not be so... Gru like just awkward.
My favorite moment was when that motherfucker put out with that Lacoste shirt with that polo. Hey, that fit was nice.
Hey, that fit was tough. I mess with it though.
Gru, aka Jokic, he really had he had a coming out party, man. It really did show some nice development. I think the best dynamic was, of course, him with his son. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a pretty cool dynamic and how they tied that into the end.
Yeah, because his son, Gru Jr. was not messing with him at first, but then
Major Jack.
But then when they go,
definitely,
I do like that.
Definitely.
But then, they go break into the school because his neighbor Penny,
cool scene.
Yeah, she wants to be a villain, so they break into there, and then his son was like, "Okay, old nigga, you
I think that's what it was. I think it was because Gru was being too nice.
Yeah, he's being too nice. So he was like,
his son,
like all that.
Yeah, his son.
Mom already gives him that.
Yeah, so. His son is Gru Jr. So his son is like him. Yeah. So his son got those little evil traits. Yeah. So he wanted to see his pops in action, man. Yeah, for sure.
I had to see something. So that whole thing happened, and then we come back. They stole everything. But then Maxine, he finds out where they are, because after they steal the mascot, Lenny, the honey badger, the principal, she had like a tracking device on him. So then Maxine finds where he's at, and then we go into that whole thing. And then going back a little bit, Maxine, he's looking for Gru's son because he wants to turn him into a cockroach, because he felt that Gru took his prized possession, so he's going to take Gru's prized possession, which was his son. So he ends up taking his son, transforming him into a cockroach, and that's kind of funny. They end up turning into a cockroach. So then this is where we get, Gru locking in, about to go get his son. Gru does his thing. Of course, I don't want to spoil everything.
I think you kind of told the whole movie. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
But I will say this though. I think that this movie was a good movie. I think that because Caleb and I we went to go see it the other day. I think that the villain of the film was probably my least favorite part about the film. He was okay. He just wasn't great. I think the best part were the dynamics, the family dynamics, especially between Gru and his son. I think that as these movies progress, the focus on the daughter just kind of get minimized a lot. Like they really didn't. Like Margot, she could have had a lot more moments to develop her, but because they hinted at
they've never really shown the daughters like that.
Yeah, because I think since the first movie, because I think the big part of it was like when she was basically had to leave all of her friends behind and then go to another school. They could have really highlighted that a little bit more.
Yeah, they should have actually like showed her at the school instead of just.
Yeah, I think with the runtime, because then like it sounds like she had a bad experience on the first day, and they really just didn't spend any time with that at all. They just kind of mainly focused on the son. I think that this movie, a lot of it was pivoted toward, of course, movies, they want to make money, but a lot of it was pivoted toward branding. So they spent a lot of time, of course, the Minions are going to have their shine. And then the son, of course, is just the Jack,
the Mega Minions.
Yeah, so they're going to have their shine, but they really didn't emphasize on the development of other characters besides the characters that were going to make them the most money, which I'm fine with that. It's a very family-oriented film, so I was good with that. I think that it did what it was supposed to do. It was relatively entertaining.
Yeah.
So I think the movie did its job. It did pretty good. I like the scene of them doing the heist and them incorporating the girl. But I think that time that they were spending doing that could have been more time to spend on the daughters, actually. That's a big chunk of the film. So I think they just decided what they wanted to highlight, what did they want to spend their time on, and they wanted a movie that was going to generate a lot in the box office, which is doing relatively well.
Yeah, because when they promoted this movie, it was really Gru and the baby. So
yeah,
we kind of already figured out that, of course, the baby's going to get more attention in this movie, which I'm okay with, but I still think that the daughters should get something. Because,
they've been sidelined.
Yeah, because, you can go somewhere with Edith, Margot, show a little bit of her or something, unless maybe they want to do like a spinoff with like Margot or something, or one of the kids.
I don't think they're ever going to.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that because that, if we wanted to be honest, that's not pulling in viewership.
No, it's
what's pulling in viewership are, number one is the Minions.
Yeah.
People are coming to see them. Kids, they love the Minions. They're marketable. And then it's Gru and his son. Like babies. People love babies.
Yeah.
So that's what's pulling in the viewership. The girls are not pulling in the viewership. After that first movie, what can you really do with them that's going to bring in more people to want to watch the films? Because at this point, we already know how the Despicable Me movies are laid out. They're going to continue to be laid out like that if they're going to make more movies. So you can't really pivot. These movies are about making money.
Yeah.
It's a family film. You can't really pivot around the daughters because that's not going to bring in money.
Nah.
Because it seems like that's obviously what these movies are trying to do. Look at all of like the references, the real life references that they implemented in this film. Now they were funny because we know about those things. So they brought attention to that. Like what are some of the things that they brought in? I can't think of them off the top of my head, but they were nice references.
Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man.
Oh,
yeah, like
Spider-Man.
The Minions. Yeah. Like all that is funny.
I also thought the intro.
Cyclops.
I also thought the intro grew like driving, kind of ripped off Batman. Like
oh yeah, I missed that.
Like,
yeah, you pulled up in that whip.
Batman because
I like
it in that nice thing.
especially with the music.
Yeah, the little Batmobile going into like Wayne Manor, like it looked like kind of ripped off that the cereal ripped off a lot of popular cereal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, but I mean that's kind of like more so a little product. So like I don't really get like looking at that too much, but yeah, it was definitely there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the Minions are always going to be the MVP of these films.
Absolutely, bro. They were hilarious. They had me laughing for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
so do we think there's going to be another film?
It makes a lot of money, so
they
I
make a lot of money on
surprised.
these films, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think the fifth one's definitely in store for them, especially with like what they made, like 230 million already.
Yeah.
So yeah, fifth one's definitely gonna be in store.
The harder part for these films is that they're always going to generate money. They need to create some more compelling villains. The villains are not great.
Yeah, I do. I like what they did at the end where they had
because
all the villains.
The guy
together. They should have brought Vector back. Like
Maxime never came across as a villain to me. He just came across as like a bitter rival. Now I ain't gonna lie.
Like somebody he just.
It got a little dark when he was like, you know, I'm Gru Junior daddy now. Like that got a little dark. I was like, damn,
I'm his daddy now.
But other than that, he didn't come across as like a villain. He just came across as like, you know, a high school rivalry.
Yeah.
So they need to come up with some compelling villains, but. At the end of the day, these movies are geared to the kids, and kids, they love the Minions.
Yeah.
And they like the baby and all that dynamic.
Yeah.
Especially when the baby is like, has some type of trait, whereas, the Gru baby, he can kind of do some spectacular things, and he's kind of got a little evil trait in him. Like Jack had the powers. He was the most powerful one. So you bring that into the films, that makes them a little bit more compelling. But like, since we are comparing a little bit with The Incredibles and with Despicable Me, what did The Incredibles 2 do well? They really highlighted like Violet and like her and Dash.
Violet, Dash.
Yeah, they did a good job
of more Jack because
it wasn't all spent on like Jack.
Yeah,
spent
and
on
it wasn't just all spent on Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl.
Exactly, they did it, but I think that movie's runtime was a lot longer than this one.
Yeah,
like this one was a quick hour and a half.
It was hour and 34 minutes.
Hour and 34 minutes. So what can you really accomplish in terms of development of characters within that time? Not a lot. So I think they did what they were supposed to do with the time frame that they allocated, and it came out pretty good.
So what do we rate this? What do y'all rate this film out of 10?
I think this film's a cool 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna go with a cool 6.8.
It's a cool 7.
I'm gonna give it a solid 8. I think this is.
So you got a lot of enjoyment out of the film.
Yeah, I definitely did. It was definitely better than the third film for me. It was better than the third. I think it's better than the second. So I think this is probably the second best.
Second one isn't good.
Yeah, it isn't good. So I think this is definitely the second best Despicable Me film.
First one is definitely the best in my opinion.
Absolutely, of
course.
The emotional attachment in the first one is kind of like you can't replicate that.
Oh, that's another thing. This movie did not have any emotional moments, and I can tell that that's not what they were going for. The first one pulls heartstrings.
Yeah,
like development with him and his daughters, them being orphans, that pulls heartstrings. That they can't replicate anything like that, in my opinion.
And then he was trying to make his mark as a villain too.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, but I think the good thing with the writers is that they're not trying to replicate that. They're trying to do things different. So they're trying to make the more lighthearted movies. So I'm good with that. I'm cool with this franchise. I don't really know if I need to see another one, but if it continues to be promoted well, then of course we'll watch it and review it. So,
well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out Despicable Me 4 yet, make sure you do. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to keep those noties on. And we'll catch y'all later.
Peace.